Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to see what is a photocell. A photocell can be defined as a light sensitive module. This is used by connecting an electrical or electronic circuit in an extensive range of applications like sunset to sunrise, lighting that mechanically turns on whenever the intensity of light is low. These are also used in other applications like intruder alarms and also automatic doors. The photocell is one kind of sensor which can also be used to allow you to sense light. The main feature of a photocell include these are very small, low power, economical, very simple to use. Because of these reasons, they are used frequently in gadgets like toys and appliances. These sensors are frequently referred to as cadmium sulfide. They are made up of photoresistors and LDRs. These sensors are apt for light sensitive applications such as light, otherwise dark out. If the block light is there in front of the sensor, if there is something disrupting a laser light, sensors which have the majority of light hitting. A photocell construction. Basically, the construction of a photocell can be done by an evacuated glass tube which includes two electrodes, collector and emitter. The shape of the emitter terminal can be in the form of a semi-hollow cylinder. It is always arranged at a negative potential. The shape of the collector terminal can be in the form of a metal which can be arranged at the axis of a partially cylindrical emitter. This can be constantly kept at a positive terminal. The evacuated glass tube can be fixed over a non-metallic base and pins are offered at the base for exterior connection. Moving further, schematic construction. Photocell consists of evacuated glass tube which are containing two electrodes. One is the emitter C and the other is the collector A. The emitter is in the shape of a semi-hollow cylinder. It is always kept at a negative potential. The collector is in the form of a metal rod and fixed at the axis of a semi-cylindrical emitter. The emitter is always kept at positive potential. The glass tube is fitted on a non-metallic base and pins are provided at the base for external connection, as we can see in the picture on the right hand side. This is a photoemissive cell. On the base there are batteries which have been provided to it. The collector C where the light is being falling on it, and there are two electrodes A and B. The working of a photocell. The emitter is connected to a negative terminal and the collector is connected to a positive terminal of the battery. Radiation of frequency is more than the threshold frequency of the material of the emitter and it is made incident on the emitter. Now the photoemission takes place. These photoelectrons are attracted to the collector which is positive with respect to the emitter. Thus, the current flows in the circuit. If the incident radiation is increased, the photoelectric current also increases. Now there are certain applications of a photoelectric cell which include the photoelectric cell is used in the reproduction of sound which is recorded on a movie film. The photoelectric cell is used in the exposure meter. The exposure meter is used along with the camera to know the correct time of the exposure for having a good photograph. Like in today's cameras, we see there are photoelectric cells and we have an external exposure meter which can be kept on DSLR cameras. The photoelectric cell is used in lux meter. There it is used to determine the intensity of light. The photoelectric cell is also used in burglar alarm. This device is kept near a safe to be protected from a thief. Davison and Germer experiment. Now the experiment arrangement is shown to you on the right hand side. Here an electron gun comprising of a tungsten film F was coated with barium oxide and it is heated through a low voltage power supply. While applying suitable potential difference from a high voltage power supply, the electron gun emits electrons which were again accelerated to a particular velocity. In a cylinder perforated with fine holes along its axis, these emitted electrons were made to pass through it, thus producing a fine collimated beam. The beam produced from the cylinder is again made to fall on the surface of a nickel crystal. Due to this, the electrons scatter in various directions. Now the direction can be anything. The beam of the electrons produced has a certain amount of intensity which is measured by electron detector, and after it is connected to a sensitive galvanometer which is held to record the current, it is then moved on a circular scale. By moving the detector on the circular scale at different positions, that is changing the angle between the incident and the scattered electron beams, that is given by theta, the intensity of the scattered electron beam is measured from different values of angle of scattering. Now from this experiment we can derive certain observations. We obtain the variation of intensity of the scattered electron by changing the angle of scattering, that is theta, by changing the accelerating potential difference. The accelerated voltage was varied from 44 watts to 68 watts. With the intensity of the scattered electron for an accelerating voltage of 54 volts at an angle, say 50 degrees, we could see a strong peak in the intensity. This peak was the result of constructive interference of electrons scattered from different layers of regularly spaced atoms of crystals. With the help of electron diffraction, the wavelength of matter was calculated to be 0.165 nanometers. Now, correlating Davison-Germer experiment and de Broglie relation, we obtain that lambda is equals to h by p, which is nothing but equivalent to under root of 1.22754, that is equivalent to 0.167 nanometer. This is actually the wavelength associated with the electrons. This is one of the most important relation between Davison-Germer experiment and de Broglie's. Thank you.